Hello and welcome back to the third round. We have a new addition to the collection this week. I just received this lovely Belgian class 54 and I thought we should have a first look at it together. As usual with the new additions format, we'll cover a few basics and a bit of history to put the locomotive in context. We'll then have a closer look at the model and we'll end the video with a quick run on the layout this week. Before we set off, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe and alert button before leaving today. Super thanks are also available if you feel the content deserves it. Whatever the option you choose will be much appreciated. Many thanks. Now, on to our topic. We'll start with a quick model overview. This is a Märklin product, of course, model number 3133, introduced in the standard program in 1988. It was produced in two versions. The initial version is recognizable by the handlebars on the surface of the nose. These were quickly removed for the second version sold from 1989 onwards. This version remained in production until 1992. Both versions are based on a tooling first introduced many years earlier in 1964 for model numbers 3066 and 3067, which went on to become true Märklin classics. The tooling was reused for multiple SNCB, DSB, NSB and CFL versions well into the noughties. The handlebars first appeared on the nose of the CFL 1600, that was model number 3134, released a few years earlier in 1986. This modification was also used for the 3137, DI3 of the NSB, in 1989. How geeky was that? Now, let's move on to some vital statistics. The model measures 20.5 centimeters buffer to buffer. It is a full metal construction with a die-cast body and sheet metal chassis. The model is fitted with a mechanical reversing unit controlling a large 3-pole flat collector motor, the LFCM type in Märklin lingo, driving 3 axles fitted with 4 traction tires. Careful on this model, it uses smaller size tires, reference number 7154. Moving to the cab, we have triple headlights, which are non-directional and always on, and hook coupling. This applies to both sides, of course. Okay, next let's have a quick overview of the prototype for context. We'll do this quickly because all I would do otherwise is reading Wikipedia out loud, and I don't think you need me to do this for you. The model represents a HLD 54, or a Class 54 in English, of the SNCB, the Belgian National Railway Company. It is part of a family of diesel-electric locomotives that entered service between 1955 and 1957. Their distinctive cabs earned them the nickname of Gros, or large nose or noses in English. They were built in Belgium by a company called Anglo-Franco-Belge, who licensed a General Motors electromotive division design derived from their popular F7 locomotives. Look at that, you cannot deny the family resemblance. The very same design was also licensed to NOHAB in Sweden, who produced several series initially sold to Denmark and Norway. As a result, the poor AFB locomotives are frequently and incorrectly referred to as NOHABs. While they look very similar, they are different, as their designs were adapted to suit local requirements. For example, the AFB units have a slightly smaller loading gauge. The motorization or equipment also differ. AFB built 44 units in 3 series between 1955 and 1957. The 202 with steam heating equipment for coaches, the 203 without, and a small series 204, which is basically 202s made faster by a different gearing. This series was made up of 4 new orders issued to replace 4 locomotives transferred to the CFL in Luxembourg and 4 conversions of existing 202s. Our prototype was the very first of these new orders. The Series 204 started service in front of fast international trains, for example some TEEs between France and the Netherlands, or other trains on the Brussels to Cologne route. Electrification progressively relegated the class to lesser duties starting in the mid to late 1960s. In 1971, the SNCB introduced a new classification scheme and the locomotives were renumbered. This is when they became Series 54. The 202s and 203s became Series 52 and 53 respectively. Some units started to receive new liveries in the process. Between the 1980s and the early 1990s, all but one Class 54 underwent a refit that radically changed their appearance. They received new cabs and were converted to slower speeds. This includes our prototype, the 5401, which was refitted in the early 1990s, at least judging by the date of pictures you can find online. The class was a bit unlucky in the 1980s too, as 4 units had to be withdrawn and dismantled following accidents. The remaining units finished their career pulling mostly freight in the Ardennes region. They were withdrawn by the SNCB upon completion of electrification work in 2002. Some units were sporadically used for infrastructure work until 2009, then finally parked. They were all dismantled by 2016. The only surviving example is the 5404, which was transferred to preservation in 2000 and reacquired its original livery in the process. It was kept operational and is currently being refurbished. And you'll find hundreds of pictures of this very locomotive online. The other surviving IFBs in original configuration are 3 of the CFL units, one of which has been repainted in a 1950s Belgian livery. This concludes the high-level overview. You'll find links to the sources I used to compile it, as well as photo credits, in the video description down below as usual. Now let's have a look at my 3133. And here it is. I bought this model from a shop in the Netherlands. The condition was described by the seller as nice, nothing more. Let's see what that means. So, we have a white box. In the late 80s, this was still a new thing being phased in. Now the box is in very good shape all round. Let's have a look inside. Yes, the tray is still transparent and it looks intact. Okay, let's take it out of the box. And we have the original paperwork. And the tray is indeed in one piece. Very good. Right, let me get the locomotive out on a presentation rail so we can have a closer look. Well, I think the model gives a very good first impression. It is just a livery refresh as far as Märklin is concerned, so we are dealing with a tooling that was about 25 years old at the time of release, and Märklin treated AFB and NOHAB as identical. We can see we have a version 1 because of the bars on the nose. I think quite a bit of attention went into the 70s SNCB livery, down to the yellow painted steps on the cabs. Yeah, very nice. There doesn't seem to be anything cosmetically wrong. I mean, there are no obvious scratches anywhere. The model was treated well by the looks of it, and I don't think it has seen much action. The state of the wheels would confirm that, I think. Well, so far so good. Very nice indeed. Okay, we just have to hope the locomotive behaves as good as it looks. Let's move to the layout. And there we are. So, let me rail the loco. The reversing unit is operational. Let's try some power. And we have motion. The lights are working on this side. And on the other side as well. And I must say everything sounds very quiet, which is good. Right, let's have a look at what's happening technically. Now, on this tooling, the body screw is located in the center tank, which doubles as weight. Then the couplings need to be removed as they go through the body, so they would be in the way. And this means having to remove the fake bogies too. Now with this vintage, Märklin made a modification to the fake bogies and they added metal bearings. Look at that, I hadn't noticed. And with that out of the way, the body is free and it can be lifted off. Now this reveals an arrangement that was already very old-fashioned in 1988. We have the motor bogie with a flat collector motor, a reversing unit and some light bulbs, and black wires, no color coding whatsoever inside. Now everything looks original and new in my opinion. At a minimum, nothing has been tampered with, and all the solder joints look as they did when they left the factory. I'm not going to dismantle the motor because peeking through the brush holes, the surface of the collector looks nice and shiny. So I'm going to assume I don't need to get in there for now. I might regret it, but I'll take a chance. Now let me check the tires. This one is loose. This one too. And the other ones on the other side are absolutely fine. So I'm going to replace the loose one. As I mentioned before, it's 7154 on this model. Then I'll lubricate the bearings and put everything back together. Okay, time for a run-in. And while it is doing this, let's have a look at what Märklin had to offer in the 1980s in terms of rolling stock. And I'm afraid to say there was nothing available as far as coaches are concerned. I think the ideal combination would be M2 coaches of the SNCB, of course, which Märklin only brought out around the noughties or 2010s even. So it is definitely something I'd look into getting once the collection is complete. I still have a way to go for that. So for freight, we have a few wagons in the catalogue that could look the part, roughly, like the couple we see on screen now. And if you don't care about the looks, there were many advertisement wagons produced during the 1980s that you could use. So we're going to try some 4723's self-unloaders. I only have 3, so we'll enlist the Deutsche Bundesbahn and NS versions as well, as they are identical, and they probably could have been seen on the same line. There we go. It's not the longest train, but that'll do. Now this tooling is usually very nice for crawling enthusiasts. Let's give it a try. Sorry about the shot, but that should be enough to get a taste. See? Not bad. The transformer throttle is barely above the stop mark, so we must be using just about 5 or 6 volts roughly. Okay, let's send it on its way. Now with these short trains we are miles away from what the locomotive could pull. See how it very easily glides around the curves. Now the ramp, which is no problem at all, and none should be expected either. Well, very nice, isn't it? What's not to like? Let's do another round. I think this model is a true classic and well worth the money I paid for it. That was it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, hopefully enough for you to give it a like, maybe subscribe if you haven't already done so, or even send a super thanks my way if you feel the video was worth it. Thanks as ever for your support, and bye for now.